more out of your love, sex, romance, everything. You're curiouser. So am I. In this live, I'm sharing my thoughts on life, love, passion, and creating something that is far better than I ever could have dreamed. Welcome to Curiouser. That just gets me so jazzed up every single time. I am so excited about that new opening. Hey, it is week 2 of the new opening. Woohoo! And today we are talking about effective communication, not just communication, y'all, effective communication. But for those of you who don't yet know me, hello, I'm Heather, also known as Nookie. I live an amazing life full of love, sex, passion, adventure, exploration. I write books, I teach workshops, and I offer coaching for better love, sex, romance, and kink for people of all genders, relationship statuses, orientations, and more. Now, as I said, today we're talking effective communication, but I'd like to share with you a quote from one of my favorite authors on communication sciences, Paul Watzlawyck, who said, "One cannot not communicate." And that has stuck with me ever since I read it at the tender age of 14. 35 years later, and I'm still learning. Because there's communicating, and there's communicating effectively. I say that in order to communicate effectively in your relationships, you need to understand what communication is and what it isn't. Communication. 1, a process by which information is exchanged between individuals through a common system of symbols, signs, or behavior. 2, information communicated, information transmitted or conveyed. So before we go any further, I just want to mention, please throw any questions or comments you have into the chat. I love engaging. I keep an eye on the chat while I talk, so I can answer your questions and clarify things as we go. So it's my belief that when Paul Watzlawyck said one cannot not communicate, he meant that every single thing you do is communication. Hello, Sabyasachi, good to see you. Every single thing you do. What you say, what you write, the memes you send, the silly animal videos you share, your reaction time as indicated by the ... typing ... dots, right? Your body language, your tone, everything. So I wrote this piece to my partner that I'd like to share with you that for me was telling him how I felt about communication. It was called How Do I Say? I cannot think of a single word or series of words, no matter how long, that will convey everything I have inside my heart and my head for you, except one: our entire existence, from the moment we met. That is how I tell you all I want to say, my every look, my every action. From that single moment until the end of the future, my words and actions for you. That is my definition of love, my definition of adore when it comes to you. I hope it's enough. So, humor me and pause for a moment. And think of communication, your communication, in those terms. Look back over your own life and relationships. And I bet you'll realize it's true that actions speak louder than words is not entirely true. They speak as loud as words. But that how you act not just what you say, does matter. And for some people, realizing that is going to be a bit of a blow. It slaps because that's a lot. For others, it's empowering to know that because, well, who we are is everything. And that, of all the things in the world, is under our control. So as we get ready to dive deeper into what is effective communication, please don't forget to like this video and share it wherever you find me, because it is a huge, huge help for me to have people recommend me to their friends and to groups and pages online. To send this to people that they know. I really appreciate it, right? And thanks so much. So let's revisit a part of that writing that I just shared with you. The part that says, our entire existence from the moment we met. That's communication. You catch sight of someone and smile. If they see it, that's communication. They send a silly meme and you send back a laughing emoji. That's communication. They tell you something deep and vulnerable and you give them compassion. That's communication. They bring you a gift and you say, thank you, I love it. That's communication. Do you see? So why is effective communication so bleeping hard? It's because when we add the word effective, that is successful in producing a desired or intended result, we now not only want communication, we want results. And that's infinitely more complex. Because people want their own results, not yours. And unless you've somehow communicated that what you want is also the caterpillar's kimono to them, then why should they care? And that's the crux. Because while they might care, they probably care far more about what they want than about what you want. And effective communication is about bringing all of that into alignment. What they want, what you want, on the same track. So some of you know this. I spent 22 years as an enthusiastic, amateur dog trainer. And I learned how to communicate to another species that what I want gets them amazing and wonderful things. So it's worth doing what I want, even when it's not what they want right now. And just as an aside, if you have an interest in dog training, I recommend Stony Dennis's videos on YouTube. But I digress. People, though, people are harder. People are more distrusting than the toughest, most abused dog because we analyze and think our way into trouble and out of it, but more often into it. Are you with me on this? Give me a shout in the chat. Let me know that you're following so far, especially with this next part. So, effective communication. 3 parts. 1, the information is transmitted or conveyed. 2, the communication is understood. And 3, it produces a desired or intended result? What do you think? Hmm? So let's go over that again. The information is transmitted or conveyed, the communication is understood, and it produces a desired or intended result. I see a thumbs up there. Humans are usually pretty good at transmitting or conveying, right? We talk, we text, we message, we phone, we video call, we write letters. Not so good at the second because, well, one, people have different meaning and experiences with the same language, right? Like, define love. Can you define love? I can. It's simple. An intense feeling of deep affection. Is that anything close to what you would have said? I doubt it. Because in my communication classes, when I ask people to define love, every single person defines it differently. In fact, most people have several different definitions, and every single person has different expectations. And two, because what you want people to understand and what you're actually thinking, saying, and transmitting can be very different. Like when your partner's angry at you and you're fighting together and they say, but I love you. And you hear, I'm saying I love you right now because I want you to feel loved and therefore shut up and quit yelling at me. And you know what? You're not wrong because communication is more than the words you say. And three, because we all have trauma and baggage. And sometimes, most of the time, we get in our own blasted way. And producing a desired or intended result, that's the hardest part because of what I've already outlined about self-interest and how interested we are in ourselves. So today, I'm focusing on that last bit, producing a desired or intended result. How do you convince someone else or many someone else's that your desired and intended result is in alignment with theirs? Anyone? Bueller. Bueller. Fact of the matter is, I don't know. Like, seriously, I don't know. Every relationship is going to produce its own unique challenges and lots of them. But I can give you a few tips. And real quick, if you're loving this content, you think that this is useful, did you know that I've recently started offering coaching? Yeah. If you'd like to spend some one-on-one time with me, supercharging your relationships with a custom plan based on your personal needs, then visit me at coachnookie@curiouser.life. Of course, you're always welcome to join me for these free live events or to join one of my membership options or workshops. Some of you want more and will thrive with personal accountability, and you asked for it, so I'm offering it. Now let's get back to getting curious. Hello, Sai. Good to see you. Sabyasachi says, this may seem coincidental, but telecommunication, let's try this again. This may seem coincidental, but telecommunications internet protocol kind of uses this same theme for communication. Not too coincidental at all, right? So, effective communication. The first thing and the most important thing is understand what they want. Piece of cake. Done and dusted, right? No, not right. That's like one of the hardest things out there because we're so interested in ourselves. So, how do you understand what they want? Well, you got to get curious. You got to want to know what they want, which, if you can do that, solves about 87.3%. Yes, that's a made up number of your communication issues. Because just as I said above, we all want what we want. And we don't really care what other people want unless they can convince us that what we want is also what they want. But if you want to get really effective at building the relationships that you want, which will likely take skills and behaviors that are new to you, you're going to have to understand your partner or partners and offer them what you want within the framework of what they want. Like all gift wrapped up with a bow. So get curious. And that doesn't necessarily mean ask them a ton of questions, because while you can, and that can be helpful and guide conversations and start them, most people don't understand what they really want themselves. So if you just go by what they tell you, you'll both be fooled. So engage them in conversations, watch them, study them, learn about them, and enjoy it. Because that will be communicated too. And if you enjoy learning about them, they will likely enjoy sharing themselves with you more and will offer you more and get comfortable around you and let you in. Hi, Carl. Good to see you. How are you doing today? So the second thing about effective communication is you need to understand what you want. And that's just as hard, sometimes harder, than understanding others. Because when you say you want a relationship, for example, but you're actually far more terrified of being hurt, and so you avoid getting really vulnerable with others, mixed messages result in ineffective communication. What you want to convey and what is actually received are two different things and cause all sorts of frustration in relationships. Because sometimes you're getting the effective communication right? You're transmitting or conveying the information. The communication is understood. It produces a desired or intended result? No. The intended or desired result is not what you were consciously aiming for, but what you were subconsciously aiming for, right? Because you weren't sure exactly what you wanted. And that is why I teach so much about boundaries and knowing who you are so you can live an authentic life. I'm good, Carl. I just had a post-surgical appointment today, and I am feeling good, and I am doing good, and I am healing up well. For those of you who don't know, I have been going through a mastectomy and reconstruction, so I am healing up well from that. Yay! And I got this sounds really weird to say, but I got pumped up today. They actually put more fluid in to help, bull everything, into the right positions after traumatizing my flesh. Muscled Karma says boundaries are so sexy. Absolutely. And when I talk about boundaries, like a lot of people think about boundaries as this is what I am unwilling to do. Whereas I talk about boundaries as this is me And everything outside of that is not me. And so that includes the things I am willing to do, right? So understanding what you want out of a situation can help you send fewer mixed messages. And when you send a clearer message aligned with what they want, then you're getting effective communication. Scott Morgan, you look good. Hope the best to you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Sabyasachi, nice to see you all good, Miss Nookie. Thank you. Carl, good, good. You're looking good. Thank you. Yeah, so what do y'all think about this? How are y'all feeling about this effective communication thing? Have any of you found that when you've had a discussion with somebody and you didn't know exactly what you were hoping to get out of it, that you didn't get what you wanted, right? And in fact, it might have gone in a direction entirely opposite of what you thought you might be hoping for because you weren't clear, right? Alicia says, this sounds stupid, but I need help narrowing down what I want. That does not sound stupid at all. I am telling you that. If that was a stupid question, then this whole what is effective communication thing would lose the part about understanding what you want going into communication, because everybody would do it, right? But the thing is, not everybody will. Because humans are very good at being both this thing and the opposite. Yeah. Humans are really good at saying, well, I want this response, but this like sneaky little part of me here deep down inside also hopes for that response so that we can get a real good row going. Do you want to fight? Or do you want to make up? Sometimes it's really hard to tell the difference. Alicia says, it seems like I should know better than anyone else. Well, in some ways you do. In some ways you absolutely do know better than anyone else. In some ways, there are some brilliant minds out there who have been studying the science of psychology and human behavior for decades and can point to somebody and say, you know what? I bet you also want this based on this behavior. And you're going to go, how did you know? Me, I tend to be like, okay, so you're telling me this thing. Let me ask you some questions because you're the one who needs to understand yourself. I don't need to understand you. I don't need to pretend to understand you. I just need to ask the questions. That's why I call what I do coaching and not therapy or psychoanalyzing or anything like that. But I would say, given my personal experience, that the number of people who do not know exactly what they want in most areas of life, like I won't even pretend to know exactly what I want in everything because I am constantly surprised by myself. But I would say that I am probably 95% aware of what I want out of life. And I am heading right towards it, right? The other 5%, well, that's just adventure or being human, right? One way or another. But I would say that the vast majority of people out there have only a vague idea of what they want out of life, out of relationships, out of a conversation, right? Muscled karma. I feel like sometimes it's a vague want. Then with immersion and learning, you feel something click and go, yes, That's it. That's perfect. Because as I've said in other lives, sometimes it's that this vague want is sort of tickling your brain. It's sort of bouncing around like a pinball inside of there. And it's not finding the spot to rest because it's like you know what you want, but you've not yet experienced it in a way that you can really hook into or grab onto, right? Like in my marriage and the relationship right after that, I knew I wanted more out of my relationships, but I wasn't sure what more meant. I didn't have words like boundaries, right? Or even communication. It was, we have to talk. It was like I had this thought, this idea, but as Muscled Karma said, it was vague until I actually began to realize that in my life, stumbling through the right things, and then being like, oh yeah, this is it. This is what I want. Or, you know what? I'm going to try it this way because I've tried it this other way and that didn't work. Right? So I'm going to try this and see if this works. Oh my goodness, that works so much better. I want this. Alicia says, it seems like the want is based on the situation or mood. Oh, absolutely. And let's be clear here. The whole point of a want is that it's almost always going to be situational. It's almost always going to be maybe not fleeting, but not forever. Whereas a need tends to be something that lasts a lot longer. It is regardless of the situation or of the mood, right? So, for example, I use an example here. Like I might want a big hug and a smooch from my sweetie right now. I'm having a rough day. I really want it. It would make me feel so much better. But my sweetie is in the middle of a conference call at work and I'm in the middle of a live. This want, nada. And that's okay, because not all wants are meant to be fulfilled, right? However, knowing what I want, I can communicate it and shoot him a text and say, hey, later this evening, I would really like to spend some time just cuddled up together and, you know, being loved and pampered, right? Because my need in a relationship is being able to express feelings like that, wants like that, and knowing that as soon as we can, we're going to make that happen together. Not just me forcing the issue, but my partner is going to say, hey, yes, I understand that desire and I am here for you and I'm going to make sure you get it, right? That's the need. And the need is such that it may not even happen this evening in this fictional situation. It might happen tomorrow evening or Wednesday because, you know, he's working late or whatever it is. The point is, though, that the need for me is that that particular want, that particular desire be acknowledged, be validated, and then at some point in the future be acted upon by both of us. It's not me nagging or forcing an issue or trying to make it happen or anything like that. Does that make sense, Alicia? Because yeah, a want is going to be based on the situation or the mood, right? I may want a good shagging right now, and then, you know, like my mother sends me a nasty text message about something and it ruins my mood. Now I don't want a good shagging, right? But my need is that I'm going to want some good shaggings over the course of my relationship. So, I want and need both to have a healthy sex life within my relationship. So, great. Absolutely, Alicia says. So the key is, though, that communication, effective communication, is happening right now. So whatever you want right this moment is going to affect how effective your communication can be through how you speak. Yeah. And that's pretty much all I had to say, right? If you have any questions, throw them into the chat or the comments. I'm happy to come back and answer those in another live sometime. And while I give you a little bit of extra time to ask or to, put in a little bit more, look for a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Detail. Did you know that I'm writing a book about boundaries and that you can get the chapters as I write them live by joining my Take No Shit workshop at takenoshit.curiouser.life. It's an online at your own pace workshop where the book is sort of like everything you need to know about boundaries. In fact, everything you probably didn't ever think you wanted to know about boundaries. Whereas the Take No Shit workshop is like, buckle up, bitches, we're building boundaries now. And it goes through, 7 different modules from the beginning. What are boundaries? Asks you questions, like 30 different questions for 6 different types of boundaries to help you start figuring out where you lack boundaries in your life and where you want to put boundaries in your life. And it includes a live addition to the workshop pretty much weekly when I'm not out thanks to surgery. And it's $47 right now. So, that's like $7 per module. But it's a lifetime thing. And you get it for as low as $27 with the choose your own price right now. And the price is going to go up in April. So if you think that you might want to learn more and build healthy, strong boundaries, you might want to check that out now. Shelly says, I'm finding my overthinking or my made-up scenarios aren't helping me figure out what I want. I'm starting to feel like I'm going to have to try some things that may not turn out well. I kind of accept that everything in my life that I try may or may not turn out well. And actually, that goes really well with what I was just saying. One of the bonus modules in the Take No Shit workshop is called No Regrets. And it's about building a life where you do not regret the decisions you make or the chances you take, and how to systematically create that life for yourself. So even when things don't turn out well, you don't have a regret for having tried it or having attempted it. I started practicing a no regrets lifestyle maybe 8 or 9 years ago. And that plus, of course, my boundaries work and so on and so forth, it has been invaluable because not regretting the choices, the decisions that I make allows me to much more effectively make those decisions more quickly and never blame anybody else for what's going on in my life. I feel like I'm much more in control. I can take better ownership of my life. So for what that's worth. Any additional questions on all of this stuff? This is a relatively short live today, but I think if you pause for just a few moments and really muse on the idea that every single thing you do with any person is communicating you to them. So then the question is, do you know what you want well enough for that communication to be effective? Whether you're speaking it, whether you're just sitting on the couch together, whether you're sitting on the other end of the couch, looking at me because something I said made her think something, and now she's thinking it. Yeah. So, on that note, thank you so much for joining me today. If you love this discussion, please like and share it with others who would enjoy it as well. And don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're finding me so you don't miss out on upcoming live topics. Now, speaking of upcoming live topics, tomorrow I will be discussing Lucky in Love. Love hurts, but does it? Does it really? And then Wednesday on Dating Kinky, I'll be talking about what potential submissives get wrong about service, FLR, Femdom, and Women in Charge. And I'll be hosting the Dating Kinky Book Club. Who are you? Core values. On Thursday, I am going to be asking the question, are women superior leaders? Another installment of FLR, Femdom, and Women in Charge. And I am going to be using studies and science to answer that question. Celine, I knew she was thinking about something. I was thinking of merry-go-round conversations. Yes, absolutely. Also on Thursday for the Take No Shit workshop, I am going to be hosting a private live on the line between need and needy. So that's an important line. And then on Friday, I'll be talking about what is ethical non-monogamy anyway. So that's what we've got coming up for this week. If you have any questions, like I said, pop them into the chat, put them into the comments if you're watching this in a replay. And thank you so very much for joining me today. Bye, y'all.